Good morning, everybody. This is Diggs. It's another beautiful day out here in the Pacific Northwest, and today we're going to be talking about kingdom optimization. We're going to talk about kingdom optimization from both the individual standpoint, and we're going to be looking at the kingdom leader standpoint. So let's go ahead and dig in. So some of the primary things we're going to be looking at here is going to be kingdom EXP. We're also going to be looking at individual rewards, and we do want to see kind of how much of what we're going to be getting in the kingdom. So we want to make sure we're managing the amount of resources that come in, whether you're an individual or whether you're a kingdom, because you can mismanage resources as a kingdom leader. And mismanaging your resources can have a negative impact on your kingdom members. Very similarly, as a kingdom member, if you're not planning your Gilder spend or planning your Gilder income, you could quite easily misspend your Gilder and miss an opportunity to kind of bid on potential items. So first off, let's talk about donations. So donations are probably the most important thing for every guild member to do. You do get 100 Gilder from doing the full donation every day, which you should be doing. And you do also give Kingdom EXP 2,550 every day when you donate. So we are going to be using the mole colony as a template. And as we do talk about a guild example here, we will use my guild as an example. So assuming you have a 33 member guild and assuming that you are setting the requirement to donate every day, that means that daily you're going to be getting 76,500 kingdom EXP per day for your guild. Now, that's a pretty large chunk of EXP. One thing you'll notice though, if we do look down at Kingdom Dungeon, and if we look at Kingdom Defense down here, if you do all tier 1 through tier 5 of Kingdom Dungeon, that's 82,000 Kingdom EXP. So doing Kingdom Dungeon tier 1 through 5 is very important. So you do want to reset this. So you can do this twice for the Earth one. So that's going to be about 160,000 Kingdom EXP. You're probably only going to be able to get to T3, potentially T4 on the new one. But Kingdom Dungeon becomes one of the best sources of Kingdom EXP, particularly for those of you trying to level up your kingdom. So it's very important, if you aren't already doing Kingdom Dungeon, that you are doing it and you are doing the tier 5 Kingdom Dungeon. And I do have some tips for this. I think it's best to plan a tier 5 Kingdom Dungeon in between Field Boss and Chaos Field Boss and invite people to come do it. I think even if your guild can't successfully kill tier 5, you should try and recruit people on your server to help you do that. And the best time to do that is in between Field Boss and Chaos Field Boss, when people have nothing to do. So this is one of the best and fastest ways to increase the level of your kingdom, and I would recommend everybody do this. A lot of people might not realize as well the rewards that you get from Kingdom Dungeon. Again, assuming that you're going to be running Kingdom Dungeon all the way through, that's 150 Gilder just baseline. Again, that's not even including the other rewards that drop. It's also 150,000 gold. So today we have kingdom events in my kingdom. We're going to be running Kingdom Dungeon tier 1 through 5 on the Earth one twice. That's a minimum 300 Gilder and 300,000 gold to my kingdom members. Now, on the other hand, we're also going to be running Fire tier 1 through 3. That's more Gilder, more kingdom gold for my kingdom members, making everybody happy. Now, Kingdom Defense is a little bit, is almost the same. It's a little bit more difficult just because Kingdom Defense is one of those situations where you can't do it from tier 1 through tier 5. There's only like one category of it. But if you can do Kingdom Defense up to tier 5, or even potentially just crashing on tier 5, you are going to get significant chunk of EXP for your guild as well. So for example, we're going to try and clear tier 3 this week, and if we do clear tier 3, we're just going to crash on tier 4 multiple times, because the EXP that you get from failing in a Kingdom Defense is 80% of the EXP that you would have gotten anyway for Kingdom. So it is a very effective strategy for getting Kingdom EXP for your kingdom. Now, if you are a kingdom that is like us, that has multiple resources that are restricting. So I'll give you an example. We're going to hop over to our guild example page here, and we're going to look right here, and we're going to look at our kingdom income. We're also going to look at potentially our kingdom expenses. So my kingdom earns right now 5,775k in gold a week, assuming everybody donates. And if they don't donate in my guild, they get kicked out. So that is assuming everybody donates. If I am doing 9 refreshes on Kingdom Dungeon, that's 4,710,000 gold. That's 4,710K. That almost obliterates all of the gold income from my kingdom, from people donating daily. Now, one thing to consider, again, I don't think we're going to be able to clear tier 4, so I am calculating now for 8 refreshes on Kingdom Dungeon, so that's 3, 7, 10K. This is pretty good. The problem comes when you want to balance other things. So aromas, for example, for many of you that are not aware, guild leaders do have access to a guild shop that can put items on the auction house for guild members. So aromas are 70,000 each. Our guild currently with our kingdom rank has access to 10 of them. So for 700,000 gold, kingdom gold, I can put them on the kind of auction board for people. And I think this is one of those things where if you're wanting to optimize your kingdom, if you're wanting to optimize your members, this is something you're going to want to do. So I do try to factor in aromas into our weekly expenses as well. Granted, when we do have access to tier 4 Kingdom Dungeon, right, when we can clear that on the fire difficulty on the fire dungeon, a lot of my extra gold probably is going to go there because I want to prioritize kingdom level over giving aromas to my guild members, right? But for right now, aromas pretty important as well if I do factor it in. Another thing that's important that is kind of like a kingdom goal for us is we do want to get pancakes. And this is where we kind of have to decide what is our priority. And for those of you that know Prion, also goes by James in my Twitch chat, he is always wanting us to unlock pancakes. But the reality is to unlock pancakes requires a large amount of gold. And I think it's 4,400. It could be a little bit less, but it is a extremely large amount of gold. And if you consider pancakes cost 4,400 gold, right? And our weekly income is 5,775 gold. That's essentially saying, you know, you're tossing out 82,000 kingdom EXP, right? Because it's going to take, you know, more than what it would take to refresh Kingdom Dungeon. You're basically throwing out 82,000 Kingdom Dungeon or Kingdom EXP, which could be a huge chunk for your kingdom. You're throwing out 150,000 gold for every single member that participates, 150 Gilder for every single member that participates. So it just becomes a really difficult, like, what are we going to prioritize? What are we going to do? And when you approach these prioritization situations, you have to look at the gold to EXP ratio for Kingdom Dungeon. And this is where things might get a little complicated, right? So for example, my guild wants pancakes, right? Or we want aromas. So we have to look at what's the most optimal for the kingdom, what's the most optimal gold spend for the kingdom, right? So when we're looking at Kingdom Dungeon and we look at the ratio here, there is a problem with tier 2 and tier 3. So tier 1 is 1k gold to 30k EXP, essentially, or 30k kingdom EXP, right? And you kind of see very similar in tier 4 and tier 5. But all of a sudden, what you see here, and sorry, this is 1k kingdom EXP to 30k gold. What you see here on tier 2 and tier 3 is that we have 1k kingdom EXP to 125k gold. And we have 1k kingdom EXP to 75k gold. So tier 2 and tier 3 are actually really bad to refresh if you are trying to prioritize gold and growth in your kingdom. So if you do have projects like pancakes, right, where you maybe want to work towards them, or maybe you want to get aromas going in your kingdom, this would be an easy way to potentially save you know, 700k gold, right? Which is also, interestingly, the amount you would need for aromas, or 1.4 million gold per week if you are wanting to unlock pancakes. So I feel like this whole video is about unlocking pancakes, but it's really about how you prioritize it, right? Because you would still get the most EXP for the kingdom with spending the least amount of gold is kind of what we're getting here. So again, when we come down to kingdom optimization and we are looking at details like these, it is essentially a give and take. Another thing to consider would be, I want the decorative statue for 20k prisms. And unfortunately, that's a lot of prisms, and it takes 8k minimum prisms to bid. So I do want us to always have a kingdom relic because you do get items in the shop from having a kingdom relic. So I'm slowly calculating how many leftover prisms and at what place it's gonna be okay for me to bid the 20k prisms for the decorative statues. If you haven't seen the statues, they look very cute, and I would consider them. Things on the background though would be Kingdom Glamour, Theater Buffs. These all require gold to level, and honestly, the gold needs to be prioritized to pancakes, it needs to be prioritized to aromas, and it needs to be prioritized to Kingdom Dungeon right now. So these are kind of all things we're considering. Kingdom Dungeon becomes a lot less important when you do max out your Kingdom rank and you have 50 members in your guild, but for right now, I need that Kingdom level. Now, I did say we would be covering Gilder expenses. Oh my god, I wrote Gilder in here. Y'all, for all y'all that I said Gilder in my previous video, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. So looking at the amount of Gilder kind of expenses here, you can see it says Gilder in all of them. So you do have Kingdom Missions Weekly, you have Kingdom Dungeon, you have Kingdom Defense, you have your daily check-in, you have your daily dono. There is a couple of things that give you Gilder on here that I did not factor in. Relic Wars is one of them. For every Relic War you participate in, you get 100 Gilder and you get 25 Dark Crystals. So that is something I didn't consider in this as well. And you know, some guilds are going to be participating in multiple Relic Wars at once. Also, the expenses I'm calculating are to figure out what the baseline extra Gilder I can spend on is. So, for example, this is assuming that you're going to have a relic every week, so that you're going to buy the dingo mount items, that you're going to buy the potentially dark crystals that are available, right? Buying the dingo mount items and buying the dark crystals is 500 Gilder weekly expense. So I'm factoring that in. I'm factoring in buying the mount items, because the mount items are 400 Gilder and are very important long-term to the strength of your character. A lot of people buy gummies. I don't think buying gummies is a good use of your Gilder. So your net weekly gain, once all expenses are taken into account, will be about 625 Gilder if you are doing all of these things. And then you want to look at your monthly gain, then you want to subtract the mount, because you do want to buy the mount. Because again, mounts, while not big stats right now, will be big stats for you in the future. So it's going to be one of those things that sets you apart from other players, that gives you stats that they don't have access to. So very important to plan on buying this mount every single month. And then of course you have your net monthly gain. So monthly, I know, looking at this, that I'm going to have 1,300 Gilder to spare. Now, what I need to consider, am I going to be rolling on Dingo? Am I going to be rolling potentially on any of the other books that drop? Whether it's going to be Earth Barrage, whether it's going to be Fire Barrage. Am I going to be lotting on aromas? All of these things I need to consider. And for those of you that have, bid on things on the auction, bidding on things on the auction is a terrible idea and a terrible waste of Gilder. In our kingdom, we assign drops. Just because if you have everybody bidding on Dingo, that is your kingdom members losing hundreds and hundreds of Gilder competing against each other for roles. Like hundreds, like you do not want to do that. That is so bad. You're literally taking your kingdom resources and just chucking them out the window for your strength level for your guild members. Like, please, if you are a guild leader out there, please do not make your guild members all bid on the Dingo that want it. Anyway, everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.